Hey everyone, it's Keely here for Soy and Shea, and thank you so much for joining me for another Patreon design soap challenge. If you've not seen one of these before, I ask my patrons each month to give me some suggestions for a soap design and usually give them a theme or a criteria. For this month, I asked them to give me 3 colours to use in a soap, and I put all the suggestions into a soapy jug, and the one that I drew out came from Meggan Gascoigne. Now I believe that's how I say your family name. If I've got it wrong, I'm really sorry, Meggan. Now, Meggan doesn't have her own business at the moment, but if she does, I will make sure to update the description box with her business details. But what she wanted to see me use was a couple of neons on a dark background. In particular, she wanted me to use, this is another word that's hard to pronounce, I believe it's Carbazole. I don't think any of us know how you actually pronounce this neon purple colour, but that's another thing. So she wanted that one, and she also wanted sunrise orange. Now at first I wondered what on earth I'd be able to do with this sort of combination, and then I realized I had a fragrance oil at the back called Passionfruit and Violet and thought this was just going to be perfect. Now let's go and see how I make my Passionfruit and Violet soap using these beautiful neon colors. Let's go. So we're all set and ready to go. Into the Wellington one, the yellow, I have got a rider's tip, one of the smallest ones I had, and into this one with that neon purple, I only used a little bit to get that sort of paler colour. I have got a Wilton 103 petal tip in here, and I'm going to be using a flower nail. Now there are so many different variations on how to pipe violets, simply because there are so many violets out there, so many different variations, and when you look at them, their petals are all very, very different. So this is how I'm going to be piping the violets for this one. We're going to start doing a top one, and what I'm going to do is start squeezing, and then I'm going to let it just kind of go. I'm moving my tip up a little bit, creating a C and bringing it back down to close it off. I'm now going to do 2 side petals for this one, and I'm going to use that same sort of motion, but I'm going to make it a little bit smaller and a little bit tighter. So we just get 2 little petals like so, and then I'm going to do 2 sort of medium petals on the bottom using that same sort of C motion, and just making sure that I'm bringing that piping tip up as well so we can get them to stand a little bit. And with my yellow, I'm just going to put 2 little dots to make my little yellow center, and that is one of my violets. So let's do another. Alright, so we're going to add on a little bit of our soap just to make sure that our paper stays in place. So with my piping tip, I have got it, it's like in a little teardrop shape. I've got the thinner end up the top, so that forms part of the outside of the petal. So again, we're going to start making that C shape and making quite a large C shape. That is hard to say. You will actually feel that the soap does its own sort of movement, so you can actually just follow whatever it does. So we're going to do our 2 side ones like so, and now let's come in for our bottom 2, and I'm also moving my nail as well, so I'm not relying on moving the piping bag, I rely on moving the nail underneath to get the shapes that I want. If you're trying to move your hand, you're not going to get those sort of nice petal shapes. So there's another, we'll do one more. So I had enough soap there just to hold that in place. So again, I've got that thicker end at the bottom. I'm just going to take that excess soap off. It always helps to start with a clean tip. And again, I'm going to make that C shape, so squeezing up and back down. Now I'm going to do my 2 side ones, and this time when I do it, I don't know if you can really see it on the camera, I just tip my piping bags back slightly, which helps to raise that petal up. So we'll do this side. And now we're going to do the bottom. And don't worry if your flowers aren't perfectly shaped, because in nature they are not perfectly shaped, and it's going to give your flowers a very unique look when you are piping them. So just a little bit more, and there is another one. So I'm going to get the rest of these violets piped, and then we'll get on to making the soap. Okay, the violets are all piped, ready to go on the soap. I probably have way too many, but that's okay because I can put them away for another project later on. I've got everything else ready to go as well. So we've got the oils and lye water down to room temperature. I have my two neon colors here. Absolutely stunning. This color is amazing. I hadn't seen it before it was mentioned. I have pre-dispersed them into some oil to get rid of the little clumps that you generally get when you use the neons, and then you just don't end up with those flecks of color in the soap. I put a little bit extra of the purple in here so we get a brighter, much deeper sort of color in the actual soap. So we've got those ready. I have also got a little bit of Caribbean ready to go for doing some piping on the top of this one. And the fragrance I'm using today is Passionfruit and Purple Violet, which I've had from off of Isla. And it's got notes of passion fruit, orange, there's some bergamot, violet, jasmine, rose, geranium, nutmeg, there's some vanilla, tonka, musk and patchouli. It says there's zero vanillin, but with all those flowers in there, and how dark this bottle is as well, I find that hard to believe, but with all those flowers in there, I am expecting this to actually move quite quickly. So I will see how we go. What I will probably end up doing is not putting any fragrance in my colors, which usually gives me just that little bit of extra time to work with it. But we'll see. I'm going to set this all to music so that I can concentrate and not mess up the soap too much. Let's get onto it. For the dark colour, I am going to put in some Eminence, which I know is not particularly dark, but we're going to darken it up with a little bit of black oxide and try and get that really dark purple skin that you get on passion fruit. Don't think it's going to quite go the colour I want, so I'm going to add in a bit of activated charcoal because that always darkens it right up. Well, what a pleasant surprise that was. That remained super fluid while I was pouring it. It has firmed up a fair bit now, so I'm glad I didn't put the fragrance in the orange and the purple because that's still nice and soft, which means that my flowers are going to stick to the top of my soap with no problem at all. So let's get all these on. There's a fair bit of noise going on around the place. They've just come out to do all the garden work or the street work, so lots of blower vacs and stuff have just been going off. So I'm going to get most of this done, and then once I've got all my violets on, piped my leaves, I will bring you down for a closer look. how bright, happy and cheery is the top of this soap. Those little violets look so cute nestled in their leaves. I'm also pretty happy with that fragrance oil. It does accelerate, but not until you stop moving the soap batter. So it did give me enough working time to be able to get the swirls in here with that little chopstick as well. Just a very gentle chopstick swirl in this one this time. By the time I'd finished putting the colour on the top of this, it had started to set up. So pretty pleased I didn't put the fragrance in the purple and the orange, because it meant it was still fluid enough that I could stick all my little violets on the top and know that they have stuck to the soap. We're going to leave this one sit and we're going to be back in just a minute and we'll cut it open and see what we've got on the inside. And I'm also keen to see what this fragrance does, because it's not particularly strong, which I thought it would be, but maybe it will improve tomorrow. We are back to cut into our passion fruit and violet. You can see where I did that slip with the orange on this side of the soap. The violet smells definitely come out of this now. When I was making this one, you actually couldn't smell that sort of violet. They have a very distinct aroma to them, most of the violets, and I couldn't smell it, but now that this has done its thing overnight, I can smell more of the violet sort of flower. Just getting it lined up, making sure I have my end pieces right. I should actually mark it on the cutter so I know exactly where to line up my soap bars. Alright, let's take a look and see how bright and happy this one's going to be. Let's start at the end. Oh, that was the end piece. How awesome is that? That was what I saw on my end piece there. Absolutely love how bright that orange and purple pop against that really deep dark purple. So it's not quite black, it's not quite grey. It does, you can definitely see I've got that purple tinge in that dark colour, and I absolutely love. Oh wow, look at that. How did I end up with that in there? That's like I've put a whole new colour through that soap. I wonder what on earth that is. That's got me very intrigued. That's going to be very interesting to see what happens over the next few days as this sits and cures, whether that colour, it only seems to be in that one sort of cup there. It'd be very interesting to see what actually happens and whether that sort of grey colour that is there disappears as it kind of gets into the air. There's little bits of it in there as well. It's not Glycerin River. It's definitely not Glycerin River. It doesn't have that sort of look to it, but definitely has this light grey through it as well. Look, there's all these wisps of it. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this actually cures. So the fully cured soap isn't going to be ready until January, because I have been a little bit slack with making the soaps lately. And it's not so much I've been slack, it's about trying to find the time between being so busy with Christmas and that sort of thing. So I haven't made soaps as far ahead as I have done so at the start of the year. So this one's actually not going to be ready until January, and that's when I'll be able to take some more accurate photos of what this one is going to look like once it is fully cured, and whether or not those grey streaks stay in it. I'm not unhappy that we've got them. It really adds something a little bit more to the design. But I am loving those colours together, and there is the top with our little violets. In terms of the fragrance, it's not as strong as I think it probably should be, with having that note of violet in there. And the passion fruit, I've got another passion fruit fragrance that is super strong of passion fruit, and I don't think it quite shines through. It is still there, so don't get me wrong on that one, but it's definitely not one for people who like a nice strong fragrance. This is definitely going to be a fragrance for those that prefer something a little bit milder in their sort of products. There is another. I'm absolutely loving it. I love that I only put that chopstick through it once, so we've just got that very delicate sort of swirl. Really just, yeah, absolutely love this soap. So here is, let's grab a couple more here. So I hope you have enjoyed watching how I put together the passion fruit and violet soap. If you did, why not give me a thumbs up, any comments down below, and until the next video comes out, I hope you have a good one, and I will see you then. Bye.